Hi, and welcome to the 5 Minute Mashup. I know, I'm sorry, I apologize. I did a promo for this yesterday, and now it's Saturday night, and I'm just getting around to recording this little video program, the 5 Minute Mashup, because it's basically 5 minutes of, uh, of content, of stuff, of stories. I mean, how much more time do you need than 5 minutes? In 5 minutes, you can find out what's happening all over the planet. Excuse me. Now, I'm not going to tell you what's happening all over the planet. You can find that at lots of other places. But anyhow, why am I talking about this? Oh, I know. I didn't want to jump right into things because you see these big brown, they are not centipedes or caterpillars. They are eyebrows, and I'm noticing how incredibly thick and dark they are, and they really need to be trimmed up. And I promise to trim them up so that, they're out about a couple of inches, and I don't want them to get any longer because then you start getting stares in grocery stores and restaurants and things like that. I don't want that to happen to me, but geez, it looks like a couple of centipedes are getting ready to lock horns on my forehead. Anyhow, so hey, I didn't say this was a grooming show. I just said it was a show about content, mostly my own. Hopefully you can relate to it. Speaking of that, I want to talk about the difference between infotainment and news. What I do here, and I'll admit it may be a poor excuse, is infotainment. I don't know how much information I'm giving you actually, but I'm hoping that it might be entertaining. I'm not trying to break news stories like other channels are, other major networks that are on cable and masquerade as news stations when they're really infotainment. And I find the biggest perpetrators of this is number one, Fox News, number two, MSNBC, number three, CNBC, number four, CNN. Have I left anybody out? Oh, Headline News, and any other channel that's on cable other than the major networks when they actually do a news show. Because they come on and it's not really news. They're talking, I mean, it's news related, but it's not news. Now, as much as I like Fox, um, they do news about 2 hours a day. The rest of it is news content. It's infotainment, if you will. They get a bunch of people on the set and a bunch of people from remote locations. They bring up a topic like, hey, do you think Donald Trump should ever be president? And then they let people argue back and forth and talk all over each other so you can't make out who's saying what. And then at the end of it all, they go, well, that settles that. Let's move on to our next guest. And then it just repeats itself. But around 6 o'clock, around 6 p.m. Eastern, which is big primetime news hour in New York, they do a 1 hour news show, which is serious news. The rest of it, Fox and Friends in the morning, great show. It's not totally news. It's infotainment. Same thing with Good Morning America. The rest of the shows on Fox are mostly infotainment. So now you know what that is. But can you imagine? Okay, I was born in the late 40s, grew up in the 50s, 60s. Started watching news probably when I was, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old because that's what my father and my grandfather wanted to watch. So, I had no bargaining chips. I had to go with what they wanted to do. But guys like Walter Cronkite, Howard K. Smith, Chet Huntley, David Brinkley, they would be rolling in their graves, and they may very well be rolling in their graves at this very moment if they're watching this particular show, but over what's been going on and what's been put out there as news. Because it's not news. It's infotainment or newsattainment or whatever the heck you want to call it. News is a news show when something's happening, you cover what's happening, you have somebody in the field to be right there with an interview or an eyewitness report, and then you're done and you move on. You don't give your opinion. You don't roll your eyes like, somebody gives an interview. Now, here's an example. And I'm just picking this out because I don't care for them. MSNBC. Here's MSNBC. I'm an anchor on MSNBC. I just do this long interview with Donald Trump. As soon as the interview is over, I look back towards the camera and do this. Now, no news person should ever do that. but they do. And that's okay with me as long as you say, hey, this isn't serious news. One of the best broadcasters, news per people, entertainers in the world was Paul Harvey. And he always started his show with Paul Harvey, news and comment, which meant part of it was going to be news, factual. Other parts of it were going to be his commentary. But he let you know when he was commenting, when he was making a statement about the news rather than just reporting the news. So that's a big difference, and that doesn't happen in this day and age. Are we ever going to change it? Are we ever going to go back to a serious news program? You know, ABC, CBS, and NBC, Fox, they can do some credible local news at their affiliates. The national news is okay, but still, there's that measure of infotainment incorporated in that 30-minute newscast because they're trying to keep your attention to sell advertising. Actually, they're not trying to sell advertising. They sell advertising, but the advertisers are trying to sell you products, so they want you to watch. And any way they can keep you, they will. And that's the problem with news, is that they're more concerned about the number of viewers than how much info they're dispensing to viewers and in what form. So that's my little gripe for today about world news. You may agree, you may not. If you don't agree, or even if you do, leave a comment down below if there's room. And other than that, that's it for today. I wanted to do this because if I waited another 5 minutes, I would have gotten into something else. I would be watching a football game and I would have put this off. And I apologize for not getting this up last night. So anyhow, that's my deal for today. I'm feeling pretty good for a weekend, and I usually talk about my mental health. Life's a little lonely, but I'm doing okay. I'm talking to you, so how much better could it get, right? Hey, thanks for watching the 5-Minute Mashup. I'm Frank Erickson. See you soon.